tell the difference between my waking life and dreams. Can I tell you a secret?
Your mind is a pendulum swinging between realities.
Your identities are not something to be feared, but something to be welcomed. This is the best, worst day of my life.
Marvel Studios' Moon Knight, now streaming.
Welcome back, everyone. This will be my full Marvel Moon Knight Episode 4 trailer video. There's a bunch of Easter eggs. Obviously, they're hyping up a whole bunch of stuff, so we'll break it all down. If you're brand new to the channel, be sure to subscribe to get all the episodes. We're also doing a giveaway for Disney Plus memberships. All you have to do to enter is be a subscriber and leave all your predictions for the rest of the episodes. Careful for spoilers for everything through Episode 3. If you haven't seen it yet, we'll be talking about everything that's happened so far. But at the end of Episode 3, Khonshu lost his verbal battle with part of their ruling Council of Gods, the Ennead. There was a little confusion about what was going on here. Why weren't all the gods there? There's supposed to be 9 members ruling over the other gods. So remember, there are a ton of gods that are part of their Egyptian pantheon that Khonshu comes from. Like, Khonshu was born biologically to another god who's supposed to be the leader of their pantheon. His biological sister is Bast, the Panther goddess, who gives all of Black Panther and the Panther tribe his powers. To make another connection to Black Panther 2 in Thor Love and Thunder, because Gore the God Butcher is going to be going around trying to kill all the MCU gods. The Ennead, the Egyptian gods here that we're talking about in this series, are just one of the pantheons. But for those of you asking about it, yes, you are correct. Technically, that would make Black Panther, or any Black Panther at any given time in history, the avatar of Bast. There are a couple reasons why we only saw part of the gods during this episode. Part of it's related to some of the reasons that we saw during the Thor movies. Like, every time Thor did something bad and got hauled in front of Odin, you didn't see every single member of their Asgardian pantheon. There are other people with god-level powers. There are other members of Thor's family that they haven't introduced in the MCU yet. Part of it's practical, like they didn't want to have 1,000 different people all inside this chamber, and they also imply some of it through the story too. Like, even though Khonshu used some of his power through Marc Spector, like he was working through Marc Spector, his avatar, to change the sky, he couldn't do that just by himself. That's why at the end of the episode, he has to tell Steven what to do, like, move your hands like this, because Khonshu was doing it himself, but he had to do it through Stephen Grant while this was happening. Most of the other prominent gods that are part of their pantheon hate Khonshu with a fiery passion. They don't want to have anything to do with him. They don't want to pay attention to him as much as possible. So part of the reason Bast wasn't there, part of the reason the other members of the Ennead weren't there, is because they don't respect him. And another big thing people were asking about that will continue to be a thing in Episode 4, Episode 5, even Episode 6, is part of the reason why it seemed like Harrow was able to deceive people as powerful as the gods are supposed to be was part of a misdirect. It only seemed like he was able to trick them during this trial. As Hathor explained before the trial started and after the trial ended, some of the gods know exactly what's really going on and are just going along with it for now for a couple of reasons. Like I said, most of the gods hate Khonshu. He's kind of the black sheep of the family, so to speak, and they've trapped him inside this other place of the other dimension that they're in. So remember, they're all trapped in this pocket dimension. In the episode, they called it the Overvoid, but in the comics, they call it the Other Void. It's basically the same place. So most of them don't want to listen to anything he has to say. Like, okay, you've lied to us so many times, you've been so bad, we're not going to pay attention to you as much as possible. Like the MCU god who cried sheep, so to speak. An even bigger reason, though, is that most of the gods are pretty lazy.
Thor, what do you know?
Is he asleep?
No. I'm pretty sure he's dead.
As they've tried to show you in the episodes so far, and they've showed you in the MCU just kind of in general. If you've read the Thor comics too, this is a big thing during the Gore the God Butcher storyline. Khonshu during the episode even called the Overvoid pocket dimension where their forms are trapped very decadent. But remember, technically all the gods' true forms are trapped in this place. When they trapped him in this traditional looking stone figure here, this is also designed on Egyptian mythology. There are a lot of these types of stone figures that you see during the end credit sequence with all the other gods depicted. There are a lot of them around this place, around the Great Pyramid of Giza. The avatar of Osiris talked to Harrow, implying that a lot of different people had been bound to this place, quote unquote, before, implying that lots of gods and lots of prominent people in history went through the same process that Khonshu just went through. But as Stephen Grant was reading in episode 1, when the gods departed mankind and went to the Overvoid, all their true essences sort of transferred to this other pocket dimension. So when they say that they had already banished Khonshu, they basically just disallowed him from hanging out with the other gods. He's still trapped outside the main MCU dimension. It's just that them binding him in this stone here, also on top of that, prevents him from communicating with his avatar or granting him any of his power. Tying this back to Thor Love and Thunder, like I said, Gorr the God Butcher's going around killing all the MCU gods because he thinks they only care about themselves, and that's basically what they tell you during this episode. They kind of confirm everyone's belief. Oh, they don't really care what's going on, and that's why they're kind of going along with this trial, not believing what Khonshu says, not thinking about Ammit coming back. Because if they really wanted to, they could actually use their power to investigate these claims, but it will require a lot more effort on their part. But as they say, they don't really care about people that much. We only let these avatars here and give them part of their power to observe what's going on, which is why they allow all this crazy stuff to go on, like Thanos collecting all the Infinity Stones, Avengers Infinity War, Avengers Endgame, all the snaps. Why they don't get involved with Kang the Conqueror in the Kang Multiverse War, because it's happening inside the third MCU dimension, and they're off in this pocket dimension. They're basically protected from a lot of what's happening. The difference with Gorr the God Butcher going around killing all the gods, yes, all these other Ennead members here, these gods that we see in the episode, would be on his shit list. They'll explain this a little bit better when the movie comes along, but Gorr the God Butcher has found a cosmic weapon that's allowed him to basically kill their essence, which is way harder to do than just killing their physical form inside the MCU when they're completely whole. Like Ammit is trying to come back into the MCU, you could kill her physical form, but it'd be way more complicated to actually kill her cosmic essence. The same is true for characters like Odin, like his essence is in their version of Valhalla, which is kind of like the Asgardian Pantheon's version of another pocket dimension. And also on the sly, what I think is going on here, what they kind of imply, is that some of the gods, as Hathor explains, probably know what's really going on. Ammit is really trying to come back into the MCU, and they're just going along with it for a couple different reasons. Some of them because they're selfish, some of the other gods probably also want to return to the MCU and become more powerful themselves too, but they're afraid to fight the other gods who do want to stay in the pocket dimension. If it wasn't clear, just because these couple gods that you see in the episode are mad at Khonshu doesn't mean that they all like each other. Most of the gods are all very selfish and they have a loose alliance with each other. Even the ones who are really shady want to avoid a god-tier Avengers Endgame type of battle situation across different dimensions, because that's what would happen if the gods went to war with each other. It would mean the end of all reality, which is kind of what we're threatened with during Doctor Strange 2: Multiverse of Madness. Trying to end all of reality in every single way possible with every single super powerful character. That's part of the reason why Gorr the God Butcher wants to get rid of all the MCU gods. Like, look, they don't care about us, and they threaten all of reality, so let's just kill all of them. But part of the idea in the episode is that as the other gods right now hate Khonshu, just like Thor eventually redeemed himself, part of the gods probably want to give Khonshu the opportunity to redeem himself and rejoin them. We do see more footage of them traveling across the sands of Egypt, actually finding Ammit's tomb where the coordinates led them. Stephen Grant inside Ammit's tomb yelling about how excited he is to be doing all this Indiana Jones type of stuff. Then there's footage of him fighting Arthur Harrow and his men in the burial chamber and falling into the water. There's also footage of him opening this sarcophagus with the body wrapped in this traditional style. Now they're supposed to be in Ammit's tomb, so these could be related to her remains, or they could belong to one of her previous avatars. There's also this purple energy arcing out of the same Great Pyramid that we just saw in episode 3. We were inside the actual Great Pyramid of Giza. This might be Arthur Harrow enacting his plan. There's also this swirling purple energy inside the Great Pyramid of Giza, or inside this tomb, so either he's using her power, or it's her god-tier essence being released. The other thing that's going on here too, with him holding the action figure in this white space, that's also right out of the comics too. There was a comic book run where it seemed like he had been sent to a mental hospital because he couldn't remember who he was or who he originally was, and whether or not Moon Knight was a real person too. He got so messed up that he didn't know which personality was the original one, and he didn't know whether or not he just dreamt up Khonshu and Moon Knight, or if all that stuff really happened. He wound up finding out that Khonshu actually orchestrated everything, and it was all happening inside his head, and it was just a way that Khonshu gave him to work it all out. So all these scenes of him freaking out inside this white space with the real action figure of Moon Knight is happening inside his head. It's showing you what it's like for the other personalities when they're trapped inside the head and they're not one of the active ones controlling the body. And I do believe the action figure they're using for this, you could actually go out and buy right now, or you will be able to buy. Like it's a Marvel Legends toy that's actually being sold. And even though they are hyping up a big god-tier war here, like Arthur Harrow versus Moon Knight, both using their avatar-based powers, and also the gods kind of fighting each other, they'll probably save that to like the final episode. But everyone, post all your theories in the comments below. Remember, we're only about halfway through the series. There are 6 episodes total. My full Moon Knight episode 4 video will post next week. There's a couple other big Marvel trailer videos that just dropped that I'll do videos for. I got a Doctor Strange 2 one that'll post next. Congratulations, Marcus Johns25. You're the giveaway winner from my last big Marvel video. Please email me on the About page of my channel so I can get your contact details. Usually the best way to do that is on the desktop browser. Everyone click here for my full Moon Knight Episode 3 video and Easter eggs, and click here to learn about the connection between Moon Knight, Black Knight, Blade, Ghost Rider inside the MCU. Thank you so much for watching. Everyone stay safe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.